Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Give everybody time to get on here real quick. Good morning. Morning, Sister Sherry, AOP, good morning. Ball family, good morning. Turn it off for me, Eli. Sister Tammy, good morning. Miss Rachel, good morning. Minister Daya, good morning. Dr. Mara, good morning. Brother Keith, Sister Angie, good morning. Sister Kareem, Miss Annette from New Orleans, Sister Morgan, Brother Leroy, Sister Jacelyn. Sister Jacelyn, I saw you the other day. Come out of Publix. I didn't want to scream across the parking lot. Come, folks say I act country. It ain't the act country. I guess I am country. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Reverend Wanda, Sister Sharon, Miss Valerie, Miss Carla Young from D-Town, Brother Greg. Give everybody a couple more seconds before we go ahead and get started. Hopefully everybody is having a blessed day. Hopefully your day is going well. Hopefully your yesterday was blessed and your today will be blessed as well. We'll go ahead and get started. Well, good morning, everybody. Just want to thank you to all of the parents who allowed your children to get on the Zoom on Sunday. And yesterday, in talking to Reverend Wanda, she let me know that Sunday was the highest attendance that they've had for the children in children's church on Zoom, and that they had we had some kids on that we hadn't seen since COVID. This whole thing started. So thank you to everyone who allowed their children to be on the Zoom call on Sunday, and those of you who allowed encouraged your youth, your teenagers, to get on the call on last night. Thank you so much. We want to continue to encourage you as parents to help us as we try to spiritually pour into your children, our youth of the church, our children and youth, because we need them. Amen. We need them. And so this morning, what I want to do, hopefully you have your, we've been reading through and praying through the book of Philippians, reading through and praying through the book of Philippians, which is a book about joy and encouragement. Even in the midst of unlikely circumstances, God was encouraging them, even in the midst of unlikely circumstances. And so this morning, what I want to look at, I put on there the idea because, in reading chapter 2, I'm still going to preach on verses 13 through 18 this upcoming Sunday. And so I want to skip over that portion, and I wanted to focus on verses 19 through 24. And when Paul is talking about Timothy, and he uses two words to describe him. He says he's like-minded, and he has proven character. And I want to focus on those things real quick because if you know anything about the life of Paul had a pretty rough crack at it ministry-wise. He endured a lot of things that most people couldn't have handled or couldn't have endured. And the Bible says some people even abandoned Paul because you know how it is. You sign up for things, but when it start getting too crazy or too thick, some folks, man, I didn't sign up for all this. I can't handle all that. And so Paul had people that actually abandoned him. People that said, nah, I know you all for God. I know you doing this for Jesus. I know you got the gospel. But this sacrifice is a little too great. This is not something I think I can handle. And so they abandoned him. Think about it. He's getting beat. He's getting stoned. He's getting flogged. He's getting thrown into prison. He's getting ran out of town. It's too much. That was too much for some. But he says when he writes back to the church at Philippi, he talks about Timothy, and he says Timothy has proven character. And this is one thing I know about somebody that has proven character. It doesn't happen in easy circumstances. And it takes place over a period of time. It's not something that just happens when God is proving us, when God is proving our character, when God is refining us. It does not happen in the most ideal of circumstances or situations. If truth be told, The way that God has formed or shaped most of us, or transformed most of us, it came in difficult, or it comes in difficult packages. It comes in circumstances that we would almost rather avoid and not have to deal with. But God proves us, He refines us in the fire. I remember a long time ago when I first got saved, and at Zion Missionary Baptist Church in Owensboro, Kentucky, and it was Women's Day, and I don't, I wouldn't know this lady if I saw her, and I know I'm not a woman, I'm a man, I know that, but the message still blessed me the same. And it was an older lady, and I forgot what church she came from. I forgot who she was. She wasn't a member of our church, and she talked about the refiner's fire, and she talked about how God refines us. And she gave the illustration, which was at the time was my first time ever hearing of it, of how the goldsmith, how they purify gold, how they put gold in a cauldron and they melt it and they heat the gold up so high that it has to come up. It heats it up so high that it separates the dross. It separates the impurities from the gold. And the higher the temperature is, the purer it is. And she was talking about how at times in life, that's what God does. God turns up the temperature. He makes us uncomfortable. We find ourselves in the refiner's fire. And what God is doing in those seasons of being uncomfortable, in those seasons of us really things that we will almost rather avoid, God is proving our character. He's causing a separation. He's trying to pull some things out of us that should not be there. He's purifying us. And when he talks about Timothy having this proven character, that Timothy had walked through the trial of fire enough. He had been through enough things with Paul for Paul to know the intent of his heart, the intent of his heart. That we know what's in our hearts by how we respond in difficult and less than ideal circumstances. It's easy when everything is going the way that we want it to, or the way that we think it should. It's easy to go along to get along. But when the fire hits, when the challenges come, that's when we separate the real from the fake. I never will forget my junior year in high school, the end of my junior year. The end of my sophomore year. I'm in high school going into our junior year. We got a new football coach, and I mean, he got everybody. Everybody was ecstatic. They were pumped. They were hype, and I mean, that gymnasium was full of boys from the high school. I mean, it was full. I mean, it was jam packed. We almost took up one whole side of the bleachers. All the boys came out to play football. And we played spring ball, and you know how it is. Spring ball was cool. We out there running. And I call them no pad all-stars. It was some guys, boy, they could do everything as long as we just touch. Then we put the helmets on, and then and then we put the pads on. And that putting on the football pads separated the boys from the men. It's like, you know what? Forget this. That was what they called it on Black Panther. It was Challenge Day. It separated. It wasn't. We started out that spring with an auditorium full of boys, and by the time we got to the season, after practice in the summer, conditioning in 1-a-days and 7-on-7 tournaments, and then football camp, which was 4-a-days, which I'm pretty sure are illegal now. You can't practice 4 times in one day. I know that has to be illegal now. No concussion protocol. All that. By the time we got to the season, we had a fraction of what we started out with in that spring, because it was too much. And Paul says this about Timothy. He says that he has proven character, that he has walked through the fire enough that we can see the contents of their hearts. The way that the way that we know what's inside an individual, and inside of ourselves and what we're made of, is how we continue to handle the challenges, the disappointments, the difficulties, the curveballs that life throws at us. And Timothy had demonstrated over a long period of time that he had proven character, Proven character does not give up and throw in the towel every time something doesn't go your way. Proven character is not, we don't always, tell me, well, they hurt my feelings. Like I told you growing up, only person care about your feelings is you. Proven character can withstand, endure, and go through the many challenges that life brings at us. Timothy had proven character. And can the same be said about us? Do we have proven character? How do we handle the things that life throws at us? And it's not just that Timothy had proven character. Paul found something else in Timothy that was hard to find. And many of us, we know it's hard to find somebody that is like-minded. It's hard to, and it doesn't, and hear me, because there are some people that say, well, they hate and this. No, sometimes people just have different minds. We're not the same. It's not, we think differently. We approach situations differently. We don't have the same passions. We don't have the same things that excite us, the same things that get us worked up. And it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody is wrong in a situation, but Paul had found in Timothy someone that not only had proven character, but was like-minded. That Timothy stuck with Paul through the challenges. And you remember, John Mark was like, man, Paul said, I can't take John Mark with me. He ain't about it. When things got thick and it got hard, John Mark couldn't stand up. He couldn't do what he needed to do. And even Silas was like, Paul, Barnabas was like, Paul, you being too harsh. I think John Mark is useful for the ministry. Paul wasn't an easygoing person. Paul was a very serious, strenuous, and committed person that was like a no-nonsense person. And so it's hard to find people, if we're honest with ourselves. Most of us go through life, and we have people that we know and acquaintances, but it's hard to find someone that can stick with you through the different seasons and the trials of life and share the same mind as you. That has walked enough with you where the character is proven and they have the same mind. They share the same burdens. You can share everything that's in your heart with them. And I would encourage this because as believers, as Christians, as people, we need people that we can live life with. You need someone. You can't tell everybody everything, but you need someone that you can tell everything. You need someone that your relationship, y'all fall in and out. Y'all get on each other's nerves. Y'all go back and forth. You argue. You complain. I mean, look here. One thing that I figure out is that when we do a marriage counseling, or I'm not a counselor. When we do the premarital sessions before I marry folk, one of the things I always ask is, tell me about a hard time that you've had. Whenever I hear people say, oh, we don't have hard times, we just love each other, I'm thinking, you're a fool if you think you're going to live off love for the rest of your life. You're a fool if you think y'all are always going to come home and y'all just going to just magically float on angels' wings. She ain't going to do anything to get on your nerves. He not going to do anything to get on your nerves. No. Real love is when you got both wake up with morning breath. Your better half has taken the last coffee pot. That's real love, and you love them anyway. And so there's this idea that for whatever reason, in our walks with God, in our walk of faith, we've got to get used to the fact of knowing that God proves our character through difficulties. That when we sign up, and I remember I said, Lord, I want to grow. Lord, I want to be more like you. I want to do all these things. I did not realize at the time that when we ask God to have his way, when we want God to mold us and to shape us into to who he would have us to be, and God proving our character, he's going to test our faith. And in testing our faith, that's going to come by trials. But we cannot get where God wants us to go. There are no easy ways. There are no shortcuts. We have to take the path that God has laid out for us. And God gave Joseph a vision. He gave Joseph a dream. And Joseph could not get to Pharaoh's courtyard to be the prime minister of Egypt by bypassing the pit, that cougar in Potiphar's house, and the dungeon. Those three pit stops were on God's itinerary to develop the character that Joseph needed in order to be successful in the place that God had for him. And so God has to prove our character each step of the way to figure out whether or not we're going to be faithful to him, whether or not we're going to be committed to him, whether or not we're still going to trust in him. If I am a believer, if I'm a Christian, that every time things don't go my way, I wear my feelings on my sleeves. I'm always getting in my feelings. I'm easily offended. I cry over hangnails. I can't handle when things don't go the way that I want them to, or it doesn't happen the way. If that's me, then I can't have proven, well, you're proving your character. But if we can endure, God can extract out of us what's needed for the next level. If we can endure, God can extract out of us what's needed for the next level. And Paul had witnessed Timothy enough. The church at Philippi had witnessed Timothy enough to know that Timothy was no fair weather believer or fair weather Christian. He wasn't just in it for selfish gain. They saw how he endured the trials that came at him, and he had proven character. And Paul said he was like-minded. When you find someone that has proven character and the same heart as you, that's a jewel. And some of us know this. You have friends that you have, I say you have friends for a season. God brings some people in your lives for a season. He brings some people in our lives for a reason, and he brings some people in our lives for life. It's a season, a reason, and life. I couldn't find anything that rhymed with both of those. Maybe I should have got them out the source. But anyway, season, reason, and life. And so whatever category that falls in, is not to say that it's bad. Bad thing. I've had people that I work with on my jobs that were, I needed that relationship at that time, at that season in my life. And I look back, and they were extremely influential. Extremely influential. But whatever it is, whatever role we play in someone's life, we want to make sure that we have proven character. And one thing about proven character, be willing to be able to walk with people as much as you can handle through the difficult things in life. There are some things you can only do it for so many people at a time. You can't do it with everyone because you'll be spent. But it was comforting for Paul to know that when you read here, Epaphroditus, I'm saying that wrong, and Timothy were faithful companions to him through his whole ordeal. If somebody is able to stand by your side and go with you, if you got somebody that's picking you up and taking you to chemo, if you got somebody that is driving you to the lawyer's office to sign the divorce papers, if you got somebody that is holding your hand through the difficult situations in life, that's rare. That doesn't come that often. That's not something that always that happens. You got somebody that can see you at your lowest point and still be there to pick you up. That's something. And a lot of times, especially in today's culture, that's one of those things that's missing. Everybody is so, you got all these people on Facebook and social media and Instagram and followers and tweets and all this crazy crap. But when truth be told, when rubber meets the road, you want somebody that got your back. You want somebody that will walk. I think Lecrae said in Church Clothes. If you've not heard Church Clothes is a song by Lecrae, where it says R.I.P. to Megan Evers, R.I.P. to Dr. Kane. Just check that out. And one of the sad things about church is that folk could go to church their whole lives and not find that person, or folk will live their whole lives and not find that person. And unfortunately, it takes us being vulnerable. And you can't be that way with everybody. I don't suggest being that way with everybody, because some people can't handle all of it. But if you found someone that can really handle you and all of your foolishness, and all the crazy stuff you got going on, and they can correct you, they can love you, they can walk with you, and you know they got your back. Well, if you're in a pinch, you call them, they come and get you, or whatever the case may be. That's rare. And if you don't have that, man, I honestly, earnestly believe you pray to God to send somebody like that. You pray to God to send somebody that you can walk through the fire with, or that can encourage you, or that does have proven character, that you all can share one another's burdens, share one another's joys. And sometimes they might even, I would say the other word, but they might even speak you out in the name of the Lord, to straighten you out. And so I say all that to say, Paul found that. Paul found that in Timothy, and it gave Paul great comfort, even in the midst of what he was going through. That's why that song that says, "Long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else," it sings good, but that's bad theology. We need other people in our lives. And as someone, as and you know, as our character needs to be proven, that we can handle and we can walk through certain things. And just let me put this out here before we pray. The last thing to do, the last thing you want to do is shame or kick somebody when they down. I see this is like, and people actually make a living off of this. That they make a living off of somebody's worst moment. And I didn't get this when I first read this. And I remember when I was sitting in class, I think it was about 2005, and I heard this statement, and my professor, he was kind of unpacking it, but I really didn't get it at the time. But the more I look back on it, the more I get it, is that when David heard of Saul and Jonathan's death, and he said, "Oh, how the mighty have fallen," that reminded David that the people that were in the position he was headed towards had fallen. He was reminded of his own frailty, reminded of his own weaknesses, reminded of his own vulnerability. And there's something to realizing that, understanding that. And I say to all of us, everybody should be at least one person's safe haven. Everybody should have at least one safe haven. And if you don't, I strongly suggest that you pray to God for that. Because I'm going to be honest with you. There's no amount of good sermons and good preaching, and good worship music and all these things that we do, and that we try to do as church, as ministry, to attract people, to keep people involved and engaged. In the beginning, God said, it's not good for man to be alone. And there's some people say, well, I'm a loner, I'm by myself. I get that. I'm cool. I get you. You might be secure enough in yourself that you don't need anybody else, but somebody might need you. It doesn't mean that I always have to take something. Sometimes I could be the person that's there. I've gone through enough where I can walk somebody else through the fire, and I can be that proven person for them. And so don't always look at it as far as terms of what I need. Sometimes it might be about what somebody else needs. And so I just want to encourage us this morning that Timothy had proven character and he was like-minded. And I believe that every believer, every Christian, every person really, whether you're saved or not, we need that. And it doesn't matter. And because you know what, I can't, when I look back over my life, and I'm saying this as a preacher, as a pastor, there's only a handful of sermons that I actually remember, like, that shaped me, that actually like that changed the trajectory of my life. A lot of encouraging words, a lot of challenging words, a lot of convicting words, all those things. But at the end of the day, I see the most impactful moments I had with people like Michael Fuller on my job. conversation I had with Dr. Bradley. I'm sitting in the hallway with Brother Allen at Mesquite Friendship. Reverend Moore pulling me to the side, talking to me in his office. A lot of the life change that happened in my life really didn't happen on Sundays. Sundays were the catalyst, but it were those relationships that challenged me, that formed me, those nuggets of wisdom, them nuggets that Sister Shirley I was talking about, that helped sustain me, because, and we need that. We need to be people that are willing to get our hands dirty with one another. We need to be people that are willing to look at someone when they're low and don't like the end of Job's friend, but just sit there and listen and just sit with somebody. Not try to fix them, not try to always offer advice. And I'm horrible at that. I know. Somebody gonna listen with Dad. You need to listen to that for yourself. I know. I'm horrible. But we need to be able to walk with people through the challenging times. And that's what made Timothy so valuable to Paul. That in his time of need, he was there with him. And so if you don't have that, pray to God for that. Ask for God to send someone in your life that you can share those things with. And you might say, well, I don't need it. Well, ask for God to send someone in your life that you can be that person for, because that's needed in life. And if Paul, the person who wrote over half the New Testament, the one who prayed and angels came down and shook up the jail, the one who revived someone from the dead, if Paul, the one who was bitten by a snake and it didn't kill him, who was shipwrecked and made it to safety, who had visions of angels, who went to the third heaven, if he saw the value in having someone that was faithful, if he saw the value of having someone that was like-minded, what does that say about us? We need that in our lives. And you need people that you can be vulnerable with. And I don't know why there's this macho bravado form of Christianity, we got it all together and we could just handle it and we doing it. And they had time, when that's the case, folks just be showing up at church. We all pretending. Everybody know that been sometime you barely made it. I mean, you barely making it through. And people look on the surface. It's like when we talked about that in 2 Kings a while back, when the prominent woman, you had the widow and then you had a prominent lady in the community. She was prominent. She was well respected, but she couldn't have children. Everybody has something. I don't care who you are. Everybody has something that they wrestle with. And you need somebody in your corner that can tell you, keep on going. You need somebody in your corner that can tell you, okay, don't let this thing get the best of you. You need that encouragement. You need that. You need somebody to tell you in your corner, nah, you ain't crazy, they tripping, but let me tell you what God is going to do for you. We need that. We need that encouragement. We need that relationship. This is not intended for us to walk this thing out on our own. And I know, but it's not. It's not intended. And so I think that if Paul sees the value in Timothy, it should let us all know. And I think one of the saddest things is that people go through life and they don't have anyone. They don't have anyone. They don't. I mean, it's sad to be in a relationship and to be lonely. It's sad to be on your job and be lonely. It's sad to come to church and be lonely. It's sad to go to the gym and be lonely. That's sad. But I pray that everybody has at least one person. And if you don't, go seek someone out. Pray about it. You don't just go give them everything all at once. Don't go tell them all your business all at once, but give them a little bit. See if you can trust them with that. Can they handle you when you get all the way ignorant? Because some of us, we can act ignorant, And then some of us, we can go all the way ignorant. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference between showing out and acting ignorant and then showing, yo, you know what, And so some of us, we got different levels depending on what we're going to do. But when you have somebody that can handle you, when you show, yo, you know what, and act all the way ignorant, and then set you down and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, or can understand you, we need that. And so, because really, truth be told, you all, I tell you, as a pastor, as a preacher, I can preach sermons, and I really do believe that God gives me certain sermons, and I really do believe that God gives me words for people to that changes people's lives, because it happened for me. But I also understand and know the importance of meaningful, valuable relationships. And in today's society, that is almost hindered because everything is done electronically and behind screens. And that's one thing I concern myself about with my kids. And like I tell my wife, I said, that's why I want to put them in extracurricular activities. It's not so that they can be the best athletes. I want them to be able to know what it's like to be with somebody and have to go through the ins and outs and develop those relationships and deal with those tensions to form friendships. And unfortunately, kids don't even, I realize we got to teach our kids how to answer the phone, how to put somebody on hold, how to speak, because they text, they email, all these things. That the personal relationship aspect is challenging, but it's needed. It's needed. It is so needed. And as believers, hear me, as Christians, as and I'm saying this as a pastor, as a preacher, as one who I know the Lord gives me words to deliver to people and to preach on Sunday morning. The fact of having that person, true friendships, that's invaluable. That's invaluable. That's invaluable. The fact of being a Timothy to someone, a Paul to someone, or Barnabas to someone, you can't measure that. And I realize that it doesn't always happen lifelong. Sometimes it's just for a season of where we are. But you can't measure that. And when I made the reference to Timothy, Paul, and Barnabas, what that means is Paul was pouring into Timothy, and Timothy was looking to Paul, that mentor-mentee relationship. And Barnabas was one that walked alongside. He was an encourager. He was one that walked along. He was an encourager. So we need either someone that we can encourage or be encouraged by. We need someone that's pouring to us, or we're pouring into them. We need to be somewhere in that cycle with relationships with people. And what I've come to find out is that even though I might not need it, when I encourage someone else, I find myself being encouraged. When I pick someone else up, I find myself being lifted up. When I walk through the valley with someone, I find myself not feeling so lonely. And so that it's beneficial. It's beneficial when we find people that have proven character, and we can walk with them and they can walk with us, and we have the same heart and the same mind. And so it's already past my time here. I got my helpers over here. They getting restless. They ready to go. They ain't proven. They ain't ready to walk with me through nothing. But so I pray that this morning that we have, and if you've been that person, and listen to this for the older folk, be that person for somebody that's younger. You would be amazed at the encouragement you would receive by talking to somebody that's 20, 30 years younger than you, and encouraging them, trying to pour into them, trying to be a blessing to their life. It amazes you how much that could change your outlook and your perspective on things when we allow the Lord to use us like that. So I just wanted to encourage us this morning. I didn't mean to go all the way there, but I believe that there's an importance that we don't talk about or we don't appreciate fully as it pertains to relationships in the body of Christ. To have a safe place that you can talk to somebody how cause you know how we say blessed and highly favored, but you're going through hell. You just got a bad doctor's report, and some of us we don't want everybody in our business, and we don't want all we don't want all that stuff. Some folk we don't, and so we suffer in silence. And if I get it, if you're one of those people that don't want, I get that. But sometimes what you're going through, it can be an encouragement to someone else, and God could bring somebody to encourage you. So it ain't for you to tell everybody. Maybe just one person what you're really struggling with, what you're going through. You find somebody that can walk through the valley with you. You need to acknowledge that. So I just want to throw that out there for you this morning. Y'all be blessed. Have a good one. Y'all know tomorrow is Wednesday. It's my wife, so I'm gonna take it easy. And tomorrow's also anniversary, so you know that next week we're gonna do something a little different for the prayer call. Next week we're gonna do something a little different for the prayer call. But you guys be blessed. Y'all have a good one, and please encourage someone this morning. And if someone has encouraged you, just shoot them a thank you. If someone has encouraged you, just shoot them a thank you. And then I need to go, okay, the last thing, when God brings someone across your mind, reach out to them. When God brings someone across your mind, reach out. It might be the middle of a work day. Just text them, praying for you, checking on you. Just reach out to them. Y'all be blessed. You have a good one. And my wife will see y'all tomorrow morning. Be blessed.